Hi everyone, I'm Libby from Ditch the Carbs, and this is one of my 5-minute tips for low carb. And today we have Brendan to give us some tips. So Brendan, tell us about yourself and your weight loss journey. How much have you lost? You'll be amazed.
So at my heaviest, I was 137 kilos, which is over 300 pounds. And I was not in a very good way, to be fair. And I managed to exercise my way down by about 5 kilos to about 132, and that was over a period of about 6 months. And you know, 5 kilos, not too bad, but 6 months of exercise, a lot of effort for not really much reward. Nobody could really visibly see that there was any difference there. But then 6 months into the exercise, I added a low carb diet to the plan. And when I first started, I wasn't even convinced that it would work. I actually got started to prove somebody wrong. This is crazy. This is madness, you know. But I thought, right, that was how I got started with it. I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And it turns out that I was the one that was wrong all along. It started working straight away. I couldn't believe how quickly it worked. The 5 kilos I lost in the first 6 months, the first 6 months of low carb, beyond the 6 months of exercise alone, I lost 26 kilos.
Wow.
And then over a year I lost something like 45, 46, and eventually with the low carb plus the exercise I lost a total of 50 kilos in 15 months. So that plus the 5 kilos of exercise alone took me from 137 down to 82.
Wow, so that's a massive weight loss for anyone who's thinking about, you know, does this work for you? Absolutely, yes, it will work for you. And the results absolutely speak for themselves. So now you know that Brendan's weight loss story, what are your best sort of top 5 tips for us?
Well, for me, when I got started, I really wasn't sure what low carb even was. You know, like the instinct is that everybody knows what low fat is. Like half the time it just tells you on the front of the package already, right? But so I really had to do a bit of research and figure out exactly what low carb is. And so that sort of leads on to the second point. Once I'd sort of done a bit of research, figuring out, okay, what do I eat, what do I not eat when I'm going low carb? Then I'm looking at, okay, well, how do I apply what I'm learning about these macronutrient things? And for me, it was all about learning how to read the food labels. Which was my second point. Not so much the labels on the front, you know, anything on the front of the packaging,
yes,
like
the marketing.
Yes, the marketing, the healthy stars, the whatever you have there. I ignore it. Flip it on the back. Have a look at the food label on the back.
I often say ignore the fluff and the wonder on the front and look at the nutrition label on the back. So it's exactly the same. Yep.
It's all on the details. And so that was really where I started to apply the concept of low carb, just learning how to read these food labels. I set myself an upper limit, so I'm looking at the column of carbohydrates per 100 grams. And I'm saying, right, I'm going to set myself a limit. I wasn't even sure what limit to set myself. I thought, well, if I go too high, it's not going to be low carb.
Absolutely.
If I go too low, then it's going to be so restrictive, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it either.
So you found a happy medium.
Yeah, so I went looking for that happy medium, and I actually revised it over time. So I started off with a limit of about 10 grams per 100 grams of carbs. And then once I had done enough research and done enough supermarket shopping, gone down a few aisles I hadn't gone down before, that sort of thing, made a few extra discoveries, I'm building up sufficient variety at that point to actually look at revising my carbs down a little bit further. So most of what I eat now is no higher than 5 grams of carbs.
And that's what I think most people eventually settle on, so that was good to kind of go stepwise down.
Just working my way down as I'm learning, as I'm sort of discovering and getting a bit of variety and a bit of momentum going, just working at my own pace basically. And obviously as I'm building up this collection of knowledge and recipes and understanding and science, the home is at least for me, when it comes to food, my home is my castle. So I over time it just sort of happened naturally for me. I didn't have to go to any great trouble, but I just found myself surrounded by good options. I still started off with things like the jam and the bread and the pizza and the pasta and the whatever, but I just ran them down, didn't buy any more, and that sort of gave me the time to figure out exactly what I needed to be replacing them with.
And discover new things as you're slowly getting rid of one thing. You can discover a new recipe or discover that you don't need it, and just slowly introduce. I think some people think that you have to go from day one, which some people may want to do, and that's great. But if you don't want to, just go slowly and stepwise and think, well, if it takes a few weeks, a few months, then so be it.
Absolutely, yeah. For me, it was about a month to run down the old things and sort of replace them at my own pace with things that I found that I would respond well to, and that sort of leads on to the next point as far as understanding how I respond. You know, what causes me to lose weight, what causes me to have a rebound, and sometimes it's just a bit of trial and error. But you're not really going to know whether things are going right or wrong without doing some degree of measuring and tracking and monitoring as you go. So, you know, everybody has their own preferences on how they do that. For me, it was about weight, so I'm checking the scales every day. For people who are looking to reverse their diabetes, there's, you know, regular testing there. Some people prefer to use an app. I didn't.
And some people just have I always say the best health testing tool is your jeans. As your jeans are getting looser and you're putting that on, you know, you're losing your belly fat, your visceral fat and everything else. That's the easiest health testing tool every single day.
I tell you, that was one thing that I could tell, as you say, when you talk about the jeans, I could tell that things were working because things were starting to get a bit expensive for me on the clothing front. Maybe to go out shopping. Oh, no, now it's time to go again a few months later. I went through about however many sizes of jeans it was. The biggest pants I have are 132 centimetre waist. And what I'm wearing now is 90 odd. It's a good sort of 40 centimetres.
All through low carb.
Or 16 inches, yeah. But measuring, whether it's clothes, whether it's the scales, whether it's blood work, measure and monitor as much as you need to, or as little as you like as well. If things are going so well that you don't need to be checking on a daily basis or whatever, then so be it. Just go with the flow. But you do want to be tracking to be able to be certain that, you know, things are going more or less to plan. And I guess the final thing for me, given that I had so much to lose, the hardest thing for me was just the value of patience.
Yes, it will take time.
Yeah. A lot of people tell me that I must have had tremendous willpower to go through, you know, what I've done.
Not required with low carb.
No, and people are surprised to hear that when I tell them, well, I only really needed willpower for as long as it took for me to be convinced that it would actually work, remembering that I started not believing that it would. And that took me sort of maybe a month or two, and by that time I realised I don't need willpower anymore because I'm convinced.
And a lot of people tell me they kind of set themselves, if they can get through the first 2 weeks or the first month, they know they can do this for life, and that's all they've got to get through is that first month. They think, if I can do it for a month, actually this is doable, and it really is.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, one other little tip I'll just sneak in is that when I started in October. It was the spring, and one of the reasons for me for doing that was, for starters, there was nothing else going on in my life. October's a quiet month of the year for me, but it also meant that by the time New Year's came around, everybody else is setting their resolutions. Okay, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start losing weight, I'm going to start taking back my health, whatever. I'd already been at it now at that point for 2.5 months.
So you were a step ahead.
I was a step ahead.
Clever man.
Yeah. So if you can, the spring is a really good time to start. If you find yourself compelled to try with these New Year's resolutions, if that's been an issue for you in the past, start a little bit early, so that by the time New Year's comes around, you're already on your way. Yeah,
and don't wait for the New Year's resolution. Just do it when there's a quiet period and you can set yourself some time aside to really put it to it.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Brenda, for joining us today, and hopefully you've enjoyed those 5-minute tips, and that will give you some really solid advice to go for and help you start on your low carb journey. So for more 5-minute tips, come and see us at ditchthecarbs.com. Okay, bye.